Jax Calder had learned 2 important rules after 5 years on Outpost Alios 9. First, never assume gravity would behave the way it was supposed to. Second, never assume alien body language meant the same thing as human body language. He was reminded of the second rule the moment Lyra sat in his lap. Hard. Jax froze, hands hovering uselessly in the air as if he'd just been accused of a crime he hadn't committed. Around them, the common deck of Alios 9 buzzed with the low hum of life support systems, distant chatter from crew members, and the soft glow of holoscreens projecting star charts and half-finished games. Lyra, meanwhile, looked entirely too pleased with herself. "You're very tense, Jax," she said, her voice smooth and lilting, accented by the melodic cadence of the Virelli species. Her silver-blue eyes glimmered as she leaned closer. "Is this uncomfortable?" "Yes," Jax said immediately. "Very." She smiled wider and shifted slightly. Jax swallowed. Lyra had joined the station 3 weeks ago as a cultural liaison, officially to observe human behavior, unofficially to satisfy her own relentless curiosity. She was taller than most humans, with elongated limbs, softly glowing markings along her neck and temples, and an expressive tail that flicked when she was amused. Which was often. "What?" she asked innocently. "You said humans sit like this with companions they trust." "I am merely testing the theory." "That's not." Jax stopped himself, exhaled, and tried again. "We usually ask first." "Ah." She tilted her head. "But if I asked, you would have said no." "Yes." "Then the data would be incomplete," she said, entirely unapologetic. Jax stared at the ceiling. Somewhere in the station, an alarm chimed for a routine systems check. He wished it were something more dramatic, like a hull breach, anything that would justify him escaping this situation. Lyra, however, seemed perfectly content to remain exactly where she was. Alios 9 orbited a dying star at the edge of neutral space, a patchwork station built by half a dozen species who didn't trust each other enough to share a planet. It was a place of trade, research, and uneasy cooperation. Jax was one of its engineers, good with machines, bad with people, and utterly unprepared for being the subject of an alien social experiment. Lyra had singled him out early. "You are quiet," she had told him on her first day, watching him recalibrate a grave stabilizer. "Quiet humans are interesting." He had shrugged. "We're usually just tired." That answer had delighted her. Since then, she'd followed him around the station with relentless enthusiasm, asking questions about human expressions, emotions, and customs. She learned quickly, but she also liked to push boundaries, testing reactions the way a scientist might poke at an unfamiliar organism. Sitting in his lap, apparently, was one of those tests. "Lyra," Jax said carefully, "what exactly are you trying to learn right now?" She considered the question. "Human proximity responses," she said. "And something else." "Something else?" Her tail flicked once, then stilled. "I am unsure. That is why I am testing." Jax risked a glance down at her. She wasn't mocking him now. Her expression was focused, curious, almost vulnerable. That made it worse. "You've tested enough," he said. "You can get up now." She didn't. Instead, she adjusted again, subtly this time, and leaned her head against his shoulder. Jax's brain stopped functioning. "This position," Lyra murmured, "is pleasant." He stared straight ahead, heart pounding. "Lyra, you're not supposed to enjoy teasing." "Why not?" she asked. Because teasing ends," he said. "Someone laughs, someone gets embarrassed, and then you stop." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked softly, "And what if one does not wish to stop?" The question lingered between them, heavier than the station's artificial gravity. Jax finally placed his hands on the armrests of the chair, gripping them tightly. "Then it stops being a tease." Lyra shifted just enough to look up at him. What does it become? He hesitated. He'd never been good at naming feelings, especially ones he'd spent most of his life avoiding. Something complicated. Her eyes softened. I like complicated. Of course you do, he thought. Around them, the common deck continued as if nothing extraordinary was happening. A pair of traders argued over mineral prices. A maintenance drone hummed past. No one seemed particularly alarmed by the alien woman sitting in a human engineer's lap. Except Jax. Lyra, he said quietly, you're a guest here. People might misunderstand. She glanced around, then back at him. Are you worried about them, or about you? He opened his mouth to answer and stopped. Because the truth was, he didn't know. He'd spent years keeping his distance from people. Machines were simpler. Predictable. They didn't tease, didn't linger, didn't look at him like he was something worth studying or staying for. Lyra, however, was still very much there. Her weight was warm. Real. Comforting in a way he hadn't felt in a long time. I think, he said slowly, I'm worried about what this means. She smiled gently. That makes two of us. She shifted again, not away, but closer, and then stilled, as if waiting. Minutes passed. She didn't move. By the time the station lights dimmed to simulate evening, Lyra was still in his lap. Jax's legs had gone numb. Lyra, he said. You really need to. I know, she replied softly. I should leave. She didn't. Instead, she sighed a sound almost like relief and relaxed fully against him. I did not expect this outcome, she admitted. The tease was meant to last seconds. Perhaps minutes. And now? Jax asked. And now, she said, I find I do not wish to stand. Jax closed his eyes. He felt absurdly aware of every breath she took, every small movement. This is dangerous, he said. For you, she asked. For both of us. She considered that, then nodded. Yes. I believe you are correct. Still, she stayed. The middle of the night cycle found the station quieter, the common deck mostly empty. Jax had long since given up pretending this was temporary. Lyra, he said, voice low, why me? She tilted her head back to look at him. Why not? That's not an answer. It is the most honest one I have, she replied. You do not posture. You do not pretend. When you are uncomfortable, you do not hide it. My people value truth. He let out a weak laugh. Trust me, this isn't confidence. It's just a lack of social skill. She smiled. Even so. Her fingers brushed lightly against his sleeve, not teasing now, just exploratory. He didn't flinch. I came here to study humans, she continued. To observe from a distance. But you feel closer than distance allows. Jax swallowed. Lyra, staying like this, it means something. I know, she said. That was the problem. She knew and still didn't move. Eventually, Jax shifted, wincing as feeling returned to his legs. If you're staying, he said, we should at least be honest about it. She straightened slightly. Honest how? This isn't a game anymore, he said. No teasing. No experiments. Just us deciding what this is. Lyra studied his face intently, as if committing it to memory. Very well, she said. Then I will speak plainly. She took a slow breath. When I sat in your lap, I expected embarrassment. Laughter. Discomfort. I did not expect safety. The word hit him harder than he expected. I feel calm here, she continued. Anchored. As if my thoughts quiet in your presence. That is not something I experience often. Jax's voice was rough. You make me feel chosen. She smiled softly. Then perhaps this is mutual. Carefully, giving her every chance to pull away, he wrapped one arm around her. She leaned into it immediately. They stayed that way for a long time, saying nothing, listening to the station breathe around them. When Lyra finally shifted, Jax tensed only to relax when she simply adjusted, curling more comfortably against him. "I believe," she said sleepily, "that I understand humans better now." "Oh yeah," Jax murmured. "Yes. Teasing is not about mischief," she said. "It is about closeness, and discovering when one does not wish to leave it." Jax smiled faintly. Outside the viewport, the dying star flared softly, casting long shadows across the station. What had begun as a joke, an experiment, a tease, had turned into something neither of them had planned. And for the first time in years, Jax didn't mind the complication. Because she was still there. And neither of them wanted her to leave.